This is the Google Pixel 7 Pro camera glass replacement. Hey guys, welcome back to ersbit. I did the camera glass replacement on this Pixel 7 Pro and I was surprised to see that Google made something backward. The repairability of the camera glass on this device is much more difficult than the Pixel 6 Pro, the previous iteration. I added some heat resistance tape on the camera glass at the center mainly and left the edges open in order to protect the camera modules from the heat. So in that way, only the edge of the camera glass are going to get heated and I will start the removal process of the broken camera glass. I'm starting with the large camera glass. That one didn't have a proper crack, so I needed to create a crack at the bottom of the camera glass in order to start the removal of the broken piece of glass. Since they've made the camera bezel area full aluminum, it is much more difficult to not leave any scratch on that area of the camera glass. So I heated the camera glass a little bit more and I started the removal process of the broken camera glass. And as you can see, I added some more heat resistance tape right at the center of the camera modules in order to avoid any damage of heat exhaustion on the camera modules. The camera at the center is almost free of all the broken camera glass, and you can see we have some white powdery stuff. This is the result of removing the broken camera glass on this camera bezel. Also, I can feel that it is very difficult to remove the camera glass on this Pixel 7 Pro. It is simply not the same as removing the camera glass on a Samsung device or another Android device. In this Pixel 7 Pro, it is really difficult, and as you can see, Google is not using a proper double-sided tape. They are using some plastic residue that solidify with time. So after seeing that, I now remember that they use the same thing to seal the back glass on the Pixel 6 Pro. So I just poured some alcohol. This is 70% alcohol. With my green scalpel, I just put the green scalpel on the alcohol and then bring that green scalpel, the blade, and put it around the camera glass that is broken. Do not try to pour the alcohol directly on the camera glass area. You're going to have a mess. If you do it the way I just did it, you're going to insert the optimal amount of alcohol, and that alcohol is going to go right under the double-sided tape or plastic that they have put to seal this camera glass. Also, at this point, I just decided to not use heat anymore because it seems like using heat and trying to remove this broken camera glass with the type of tape or plastic that they use to seal the camera bezel is not going to work. The way it looks, I think the amount of heat that you need in order to remove this broken camera glass easily is going to damage your camera modules. Even while using the alcohol, you can see that I'm still adding some alcohol on the blade in order to help me remove the broken camera glass. It is a process that goes step by step, and you cannot damage your camera module by doing it this way. The only thing concerning is the dust created by removing the broken camera glass. You can see we have a lot of white powdery stuff around the back of the device. This is all created while I was trying to remove or breaking the camera glass, and that dust is going to sit on the camera module area, on the camera lens, and it might damage the camera module also. I also noticed that using alcohol the way that I'm using it is decreasing the amount of dust that is created while I'm removing the broken camera glass. So I decided to add some alcohol around the periscope zooming camera in order to have that one ready just slightly before I start removing that one. You can see right now, even without using heat, I'm able to remove the broken camera glass relatively easily than I was while I tried to use some heat only. You can see just right now I was trying to pull this piece of glass and it just fell on the camera glass again. This is due to the tape or the plastic that they use in order to seal this camera glass. So while removing the broken camera glass on your Pixel 7 Pro, you need to be careful not to have the broken glass fall again on the camera module area. You can see we have dust all over the broken camera glass area, and you can see also we have some dust on the camera lens of this device. The only way you're not going to have any broken glass dust on your camera modules would be to remove the screen of this Pixel 7 Pro, then remove the camera modules, then start the removal of the broken camera glass. Let's continue removing the broken camera glass on the periscope zooming camera, and after that I'm going to show you how you can clean and make sure that all this dust is cleared before we start the installation of the new camera glass. While adding the alcohol on the edge of the camera glass area, make sure that you do not add any alcohol on the camera lens. If you have alcohol on the camera lens area, it is going to be a little bit difficult to clean it. Here you can clearly see that we have dust all over the camera modules and camera lens. We only need to remove the plastic that they use to seal the periscope camera zooming lens. So right now I'm going to test the cameras, making sure that everything is in focus and all the zooming points of the cameras are working as they should be working. This is very important. You need to do this in order to avoid having any surprise after you have completed the repair of your camera glass on this Pixel 7 Pro. Next, I cleaned the back of the Pixel 7 Pro with a paper towel, and after that I grabbed the air blower in order to blow some air on all the camera lenses in order to remove all the dust that you saw earlier. So after that, you need to test all your cameras again. You need to do the same thing, test all the zooming point, making sure that the camera is in focus and you do not have any blurry problems before you move to the next step. I recommend the use of air to remove all the dust. And if your cameras are still not in focus after you have done everything with air, you can use something to wipe the camera lenses of your device. Avoid wiping the camera lenses as long as possible, because if you create some scratch on the camera lenses while trying to wipe it with the dust created by glass, you may have a problem. So the first step is to use air to remove all the dust and test the cameras. If the cameras are clear and they focus normally, and even if you have some visible dust on the camera lenses, do not try to wipe it. As long as your cameras are in focus while you're trying to take a picture or a video and you made sure that all the zooming points are perfectly in focus. This is why I think testing the cameras is very critical before you start the installation of the new camera glass. The sticky side of this camera glass is exposed. You just need to align the camera glass with the camera bezel area and make sure that it is perfectly inside the slot that the camera glass has to sit. After that, apply a little bit of pressure with your finger to make sure that the camera glass is fully seated inside the camera bezel area. As you saw it, the camera glass that I just installed did have some double-sided tape, but this is a regular double-sided tape. This is not the stuff that Google used in order to make it very difficult for a camera glass replacement. You can clearly see here that this one, it is missing some double-sided tape on the top and bottom of this camera glass. I do not understand why they have provided a camera glass with incomplete double-sided tape. Having incomplete double-sided tape is not going to yield protection for the water resistance. So while trying to get a camera glass replacement for your Pixel 7 Pro, make sure that the double-sided tape on the periscope zooming camera is complete. Test all the cameras once again to make sure that everything is in focus and good before you move on. I have here a Google Pixel 7 Pro. As you can see, the screen is completely damaged. There is no crack on the screen, but the panels are already destroyed. If I say Pixel 7 Pro, everything in this video applies also to the Pixel 6 Pro. The main issue with the screen replacement on a Google Pixel is the fingerprint sensor. The fingerprint sensor on this device is fragile and you need to remove it and transfer it on the new screen. I heated the front of the device with a heating pad for 5 minutes. I then use a suction cup to start applying a little bit of force. As you can see, the screen is slowly getting separated at the bottom of the device. Once you have a small opening, you can insert your guitar pick at the bottom of the device. If you are using a heat gun, you're going to hit the front of the device for less than 1 minute using the highest setting on your heat gun. Again, whenever you found some resistance, try to apply some heat again to the phone and it is going to be easy. After a quick heating of the screen, I inserted my second guitar pick and started to run it on the right side of the device in order to completely separate the right side of the screen and the body of the device. Again, quick heating on the left side of the device. If you have a heat gun, it is going to be exactly the same thing. Whenever you move from the right to the left, you need to reheat that area a little bit and then insert your guitar pick and do the complete separation of that side. On the left side of the device, we do have the screen flex cable there. If you damage the screen flex cable, it is not going to impact your device since we're going to replace the screen completely. Here you have it. The device is completely open now. You can see the flex cable of the screen. We need to remove the retaining plate on top of the flex cable. You need to go to the side where you have the small area to pull it and you're going to remove that retaining plate. Once the retaining plate is completely out, you just need to pull the screen firmly while holding the screen flex cable. I will have turned the device off, but the screen is unresponsive and I cannot do anything with this screen. The first part is done. The second part is the removal of the fingerprint sensor. We need to pull the little tab at the bottom of the fingerprint sensor flex cable. If you pull it upward, it's gonna go at an angle of 90 degrees, and then you need to pull the fingerprint sensor flex cable. I'm using a tweezer to remove the fingerprint sensor flex cable, but you can do it by hand. It is going to work. Just make sure that you do not apply too much force in order to not damage it. Next, we are going to hit the front of the device in order to soften the double-sided tape on the back of the fingerprint sensor flex cable. You can pull by hand, but I found that this is the best way to remove it without damaging anything. Use a flat metal tool to go under the fingerprint sensor flex cable and the screen, and after that you just need to push while going toward the end where we have the fingerprint sensor. I decided to stop using the metal tool and try to pull by hand because I didn't want the metal tool to go too near the fingerprint sensor. So while doing this, make sure that you do not pull hard all the way to the fingerprint sensor because you might crack the fingerprint sensor and lose it. So when I knew all the flex cable were already disconnected from the screen, I grabbed the flex cable by hand and tried to pull it right and left. So at this moment I wasn't pulling hard and I knew that it needed to be reheated again. So I went back to the hot plate, and after that I started again to pull right and left. I'm not pulling directly toward me, but I'm just pulling on the horizontal. This is the best way to remove it without getting it damaged. I didn't use alcohol because I don't know the consequence of using alcohol on this fingerprint sensor. If you use alcohol, it's gonna go obviously under the fingerprint sensor and touch the actual sensor, and it might leave some stains, which is never good for an optical image sensor. Here also, always go back to the hot plate if you found some resistance. One side of the fingerprint sensor is completely free and we just need to remove the other side, and as you can see, the fingerprint sensor is completely out of the screen, and you can see there is nothing on the fingerprint sensor. It is clean and it is ready to be used again. The small square that you see in the middle is made out of glass. If you pull it in the wrong way, it can crack and you will lose your fingerprint sensor and might have to buy another one. It is time to install the new screen on the device, but before we do that, we need to inspect the new screen, and after that install the fingerprint sensor. I saw a small stain on the fingerprint sensor area. It looks like double-sided tape. This screen might have been used for testing a fingerprint sensor before they send it to me. I will not be cleaning it and just installing the fingerprint sensor to avoid any other things getting into that area. The installation of the fingerprint sensor is easy. Try to place it in the same area where you remove it from the old screen, and as you can see, I've done a good job in the placement of the fingerprint sensor. So I just placed the fingerprint sensor on that area. I didn't press it in, just to look at all the angles and make sure that it is in the correct position. It looks good to me. I still didn't apply any force on it. I will try to connect the fingerprint flex cable first, and after that I will start to apply some pressure on the cable and then add the fingerprint sensor. Everything is in place. I just applied a little bit of pressure on the whole fingerprint sensor, and after that we need to test the screen and make sure that the fingerprint sensor is working and everything is good before we seal the device. I'm reconnecting the flex cable of the new screen onto the motherboard, and after that just turn on the device to see if the screen is good. The device turned on in the most normal way. After that I tried a few touch to see the responsiveness of the screen. Everything looks good in the responsiveness of the screen, and then we need to test the fingerprint sensor to make sure that it is working. The fact that we access the fingerprint sensor setting means that the fingerprint sensor is in good working condition and it is registering my fingers, which is a good thing. During my teardown of the Pixel 6, when I swapped two screens, the fingerprint sensor stopped working because of compatibility issues. Since this is the same fingerprint sensor that was on the device, the compatibility issues might still be happening, but only with a different fingerprint sensor. The screen of this Pixel 7 Pro didn't come with some double-sided tape. Instead, they provided this small B7000 to use. I will not be using their B7000. I'm going to use my big B7000, which is already open and ready to use. Make sure that you do not forget to add the returning plate after you add the B7000 and the screen is connected. I added a small layer of B7000 on all four corners of this device, right, left, top and bottom. After that I installed the screen flex cable. proceed in the installation of the returning plate and then close the device altogether. After closing the device, you need to apply some force on all four corners of the device. You're going to hear some clicks. At that moment, the screen is sealed, but we need to apply some constant pressure on the screen. In order to do that, I'm going to use this small tool that is going to apply some pressure for 15 minutes, and after those 15 minutes, the device is ready. Links to all the tools will be in the description. See you next time. This is the camera glass replacement kit. It comes with everything that you need in order to do this camera glass repair. Before I start working on this camera glass, let me show you how the camera looks at this moment. Here's the periscope camera, and currently you can see it is very blurry and it is kind of whitish. For the Google Pixel 7 Pro, I found that using alcohol is going to be the best option in order to remove the camera glass on the Pixel 7 Pro. On my first attempt, I tried to use a heat gun, but it is not working. So this is why I choose alcohol, because it is faster and easier. The process is very simple. You just need to add a small layer of alcohol on the perimeter of the camera glass in order to soak the double-sided tape with alcohol. You need to be careful not to have alcohol spill on the other side of the camera glass and soaking up the double-sided tape on the camera glass. That is good. I thought I had put enough alcohol on the camera glass and tried to remove a small section of camera glass broken, but it is not working. So I started re-adding alcohol on this area in order to prep the double-sided tape and remove the broken camera glass. You're going to see me do this action multiple times. Once I remove a small section of broken camera glass, I'm going to put alcohol on that area in order to soak double-sided tape that is on that area and try to remove the camera glass. Using the tip of the blade to put some alcohol on the camera glass area can be inefficient, but it is the best way and the safest way in order to avoid having too much alcohol and avoid the alcohol from touching the camera module. For the removal of the broken camera glass, you just need to put the blade right below the broken camera glass and pull it upward, and it is going to get out of the camera bezel area if the alcohol is on the double-sided tape. So here you can see I'm putting some alcohol on the side of the broken camera glass that has not been removed, and you need to be careful because alcohol can spill and you need to remove it as soon as possible. The alcohol that I'm using is 99% alcohol. I did try with 70% alcohol, but it is not working as efficiently as 99% alcohol. Using alcohol also is going to prevent the broken camera glass from creating small dust of glass which can go on top of your camera module and camera lens. Also, while removing the broken camera glass, make sure that you push the camera glass that you remove on the other side of the camera ring circle, because you do not want pieces of glass to fall on the camera lens. In case you have a piece of glass that fell on the inside of the camera bezel, you simply need to return the device and gently tap on the device in order to remove that piece of glass. At this moment, almost all the broken glass has been removed out of the camera bezel area. I simply need now to remove the double-sided tape that is still attached on the camera bezel. In order to remove the double-sided tape, you need to soak the double-sided tape with alcohol the same way that we did to remove the camera glass. I'm not sure why, but the double-sided tape that Google used on the Pixel 7 Pro is very different from the usual double-sided tape that we found on Samsung devices and any other devices. Also, this part is important because there is no more camera glass on the camera bezel. You need to be careful not to drop some alcohol on the inside and touching the camera module. When the alcohol has finally touched the other side of the double-sided tape, you just need to start peeling the double-sided tape out of the camera bezel. This is more like a very thin plastic covered with glue as opposed to the regular double-sided tape. You can see it has a lot of elasticity, and this is very different from the one that you used to know. On the Google Pixel 6 Pro, they did use the normal standard double-sided tape that we found on all smartphones, but for whatever reason, they decided to make things difficult with the Pixel 7 Pro. And finally, I have removed the last piece of double-sided tape that was on the camera bezel. You can see it is pretty clean now. We need to gently tap the back of the device in order to make everything fall out of the camera bezel area. Next, I'm using an air blower in order to blow all the dust or anything that may have fall on the inside of the camera bezel area and cover the periscope camera lens. After that, you need to test the camera to make sure that it is functioning normally and you do not have any issues. It is extremely important to test the cameras before you install the new camera glass. During the test, if the camera is not focusing and it has some issues, you need to blow some air on the camera glass area in order to evacuate anything that may have fall on the camera lens area. If after all that the camera is still not focusing and it is still having some issues, you may need a new camera module. This is the new camera glass that I'm going to install on this Pixel 7 Pro. You can see it is relatively small, same as the original camera glass, but one thing that is wrong with this camera glass is that it doesn't have double-sided tape on all sides of the camera glass area. They did provide a B7000, the liquid glue. This is what I have on the tip of the blade, and I'm trying to add a few drops of B7000 on the bottom and at the top of the camera glass area. So you do not have to do this process of adding B7000 at the top and bottom of the camera glass, because either you add it or you do not add it. I do not recommend that you put your device in water, because this might not work and keep your IP rating. Also, for the installation, you just need to put the camera glass on the camera bezel, and since it is a circle, you need to make sure that the camera glass is in the correct orientation in order to not block the camera lens. So after this step, the repair is virtually done. I just need to clean the area of the camera glass and make sure that everything is good. I did apply the wet wipe first, and after that I immediately applied the dry wipe. You do not have to do this step. You can simply clean the camera glass area with a microfiber cloth and it is going to look good. After any camera glass replacement, you need to make sure that the camera is still in focus and it is working normally. Subscribe, like and share, and I will see you on my next video. Pixel 7 Pro, and I'm going to show you how you can replace the battery, the removal process of a battery inside a Pixel 7 Pro. In order to access the battery on a Pixel 7 Pro and a Pixel 7, you need to remove the screen first. The first thing that you need to do is to hit the screen of the device. This device was heated for approximately 1 to 2 minutes on the highest setting on my heat gun. When the screen is at a good temperature with a suction cup, you can start pulling the screen slightly. You can see the bottom of the screen is going to separate itself from the frame of the device just slightly, and after that you need to insert a guitar pick. For a Pixel device, make sure that you insert the guitar pick vertically in order to create a separation between the screen and the frame of the device, and after that you need to insert a second guitar pick and start detaching the screen from the frame of the device. The screen on the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro are a very fragile screen. During the process of separating the screen from the frame of the device, make sure that you're focused, because one wrong move you may damage your screen. You can use alcohol like I've seen some other guys do it in order to remove the screen on a Pixel device, but make sure that you do not use too much alcohol because it can damage the screen also. Once you have run the guitar pick on one side of the device and it is completely separated, just add some heat on the other side that is still attached to the frame of the device, and after that you can run your guitar pick on that side and separate the screen from the frame of the device. The way Google made the screen on the Pixel 7, the Pixel 7 Pro, the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, the digitizer on the screen does not have enough protection on the edge of the screen in order to avoid any puncturing of that digitizer. With a little bit of patience and using heat whenever you need it, you can safely remove the screen on a Pixel 7 Pro and continue with the replacement of your battery. All corners on this device have been separated from the screen except the top of the screen, where we have the front-facing camera. After you've separated the top of the device from the screen, we can simply open the screen and see the flex cable of the screen. The screen of this device is attached to the motherboard by a single flex cable. In order to disconnect the flex cable of the screen from the motherboard, we need to remove a retaining plate first. After we have removed the retaining plate, we can simply pull the screen that is still attached to the motherboard and it will be disconnected. After the screen has been completely separated from the frame of the device, I advise you to turn the device on to make sure that the screen is still good and still working, and after that we can move toward the removal of the battery. Unfortunately, the screen of this Pixel 7 Pro was damaged during the removal process of the screen. I inspected the screen for at least 5 minutes and I couldn't find any physical damage on the screen, but the screen is still damaged. In order to access the battery cable and disconnect it, we need to remove the screws that hold the mid frame on the frame of the device. The Pixel 7 Pro does not take regular screws. You need a set of Torx in order to work on a Pixel device. Here's the mid frame of the Pixel 7 Pro. Right now we can simply disconnect the battery cable and start working on the removal process of the battery. The battery cable should be removed with a plastic tool or by your finger. Do not use a metal tool to remove the battery cable because because you risk to create some short that may damage your device. For the removal process of the battery, you can use the pull tab that is around the battery. Pull it strongly to make sure that the battery is getting out of the frame of the device. If it doesn't work, like most of the time, you can use some heat like I'm doing. Just hit the back of the device for 30 seconds at the highest setting on the heat gun. Try to hit the area where the battery is located, and after that you can use one of your tool, preferably a plastic tool, to pull the battery. If you have some experience, you may use a metal tool like I'm doing it. It is more sturdy and you can remove the battery without damaging the battery. The metal tool that I'm using is flat and it doesn't have any sharp edge. You cannot use any metal that have sharp edge because you risk to puncture the battery and it can create fire. So I was able to pull the battery slightly with the metal tool, and after that I inserted a plastic tool as a placeholder to avoid the battery from going back to its initial position stuck to the back of the device. You can also use some alcohol to help you soften the double-sided tape that are on the back of the battery. Just make sure that you add a few drops of alcohol at the top of the battery and at the right side of the battery. Do not add alcohol near the motherboard. I didn't add any alcohol to this battery. The heat that I used was sufficient for me to remove the battery safely. Google used some really strong double-sided tape on the back of their battery. This is why it is a little bit tricky and a little bit difficult to remove the battery on a Pixel device. I have reinstalled everything. The battery is on the device and also the mid frame has been reattached to the frame of the device. Everything is good now for the screen to be inserted and to add the retaining plate that retain the screen on the motherboard. After that, you simply need to align the screen with the frame of the device and start applying some pressure for the screen to stick on the device. The Google Pixel 7 Pro, this one has a broken back glass and I am going to do a back glass replacement on this device. I simply hate the fact that Google makes these devices without thinking about you and me trying to repair this device at home. This is the plastic binding the back glass and the frame of this device together. It is simply something that I have never seen and you will never see it on any other device. I'm going to use alcohol as my primary way to remove the back glass of this Pixel 7 Pro. I did the camera glass replacement on this Pixel 7 Pro. It is very difficult. It is not like the 6 Pro and it is nothing like Samsung or any other camera glass that you can repair. In order to make it very easy to remove the camera glass on this device, I used alcohol and it worked really well. So I'm going to do the same thing for the back glass of this Pixel 7 Pro and hopefully it can go smoothly. The problem with alcohol is you do not want the alcohol to touch the edge of your screen. Alcohol can damage your screen if it go between the digitizer and the screen layers. So you need to be very careful while applying some alcohol on the side of the Pixel 7 Pro and at the top of the back glass. I'm trying to add some alcohol at the bottom portion of the back glass of this Pixel 7 Pro in order to have it ready and start the removal of the broken back glass. I did the back glass replacement on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, and both times the wireless charging coil was cut in the process. Right now I'm just dropping the bottom portion of the Pixel 7 Pro inside alcohol, and by doing this the alcohol is going to get sucked in and it will help me remove the back cover of this device. After adding all this alcohol, when I try to remove the back with my green scalpel, it doesn't work. For example, on a Samsung device, if you add this amount of alcohol on the back cover, you can simply remove the back glass of that device without heat. So I'm going to use a heat gun in order to start removing the bottom portion of the broken back glass on this Pixel 7 Pro, and we will see how it goes. So right now I'm able to remove the broken back glass, but it is very strange. The glass is coming out of the body of the device and leaving the tape on the body of the device. This simply means that Google used a double-sided tape or plastic that is very strong, and the heat necessary to separate the glass from the plastic covering the back cover is less than the heat we need in order to remove that plastic portion. So the first thing that I recommend you to do if you're going to do a back glass replacement on your Pixel 7 Pro, start with heat and start removing the broken back glass at the bottom portion of the device. After you have removed some of that broken back glass at the bottom portion of the device, you can add a little bit of alcohol to help you remove the plastic portion of the back cover. You can do the back glass removal with heat only. I did use heat when I tried to remove the back glass on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, and I was able to remove it. As I said in the beginning of this video, the first time I did the Pixel 6 Pro, I was able to remove everything, but unfortunately the wireless charging circuitry was cut during the process. Using heat, you're not going to see the wireless charging circuitry, and most likely you're going to cut it. After the first time doing it with the Pixel 6 Pro, I tried again with the Pixel 6. It is the same configuration, and I was very careful not to damage the wireless charging coil, since I knew that they did it on purpose for people to damage it. So unfortunately that time also the wireless charging circuitry was cut. It was cut right when I was about to finish the removal of all the broken back glass. So this is why using heat can be very difficult to remove the broken back glass without cracking or damaging the wireless charging circuitry. I need to tell you all this in order for you to understand my state of mind while trying to do again a back glass replacement on a Pixel device. So at this time I can conclude after observation that they did change everything coming from the Pixel 6 Pro to the Pixel 7 Pro. The way they sealed the back glass on the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 is completely different from what they did with the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 7. I can simply say that they designed their device with the intent to make it very difficult for the average person to do a DIY at their home. Since I posted those videos for the Pixel 6 back glass replacement and the Pixel 6 Pro back glass replacement, I got only one testimony of one of the comments saying that he did successfully replace the back glass without cracking the wireless charging circuitry. All the other comments were complaining because they did cut the wireless charging circuitry after they had watched my videos. So they knew that it can be very difficult to replace the back cover, and they knew what I knew on the first video and knew what I knew after I did the second video also. So they knew everything, but they did still cut the wireless charging coil. Just to say that this is a very difficult repair, and if you want to do this, I recommend that you watch this video all the way through, because you need to see everything that I did in order to achieve the result that I had. And on the Pixel 7 Pro, as I said, they did change everything. They are not using the same material to seal the back cover of this device, and it is different from the Pixel 6 Pro. I can say the 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 are way easier to remove right now compared to this Pixel 7 Pro. With a little bit of alcohol, the tape that they use on the 6 and the 6 Pro is coming out very easy. Here it is completely different. So the other thing with the circuitry of the wireless charging coil is that it is very thin, and using a heat gun might damage or burn that circuitry, and you will lose your wireless charging again. So I didn't use any heat, so I stopped using heat after I completed the removal of the broken back glass at the bottom of this device. You can see the bottom is very safe. After you have removed the broken back cover at the bottom of the device, you will see the wireless charging coil. I think you can use heat to remove the broken back glass at the side of the device. You simply need to do that, or you can use alcohol as I did to remove the broken back glass on the side of the device. One thing that I can say, the way I was adding alcohol to the back glass, the broken back glass, was a little bit too excessive. I will advise you to use a little bit of alcohol, just a little bit, not the way that I did it. It was a little bit too much. So while I was doing this back glass removal, I didn't know the exact position of the wireless circuitry, but I knew it would be in the middle of the wireless coil and going up. So I decided to start removing all the broken back glass on the side of the device. First, this is the first thing that you need to do. After you have completely removed the broken back glass at the side of the device, you can see the wireless circuitry is showing up now. Working on the edge of the device, going inside in order to remove the broken back glass that are directly on top of the wireless charging coil, you need to be extremely careful while you're pulling the broken back glass, because this is the area you can damage the wireless circuitry very easily. You can see the wireless charging coil and the circuitry is attached to this graphite paper for heat transfer, and also the way they designed the frame of this device. After you pull the wireless circuitry, you're directly above the battery. There is nothing that protects the battery after you remove the wireless circuitry. That is why you need to be extremely careful if you're using a metal tool not to puncture the battery. The battery is right below the wireless circuitry. On top of the wireless circuitry, there is a thin layer of double-sided tape that is very sticky, and if you remove that thin layer of double-sided tape, you're going to have another very sticky double-sided tape that is on the wireless circuitry. So it is extremely difficult to remove this without cracking anything. anything. If you're using alcohol the way I do it, it can be a little bit easier and you will see the wireless circuitry and you cannot miss anything or damage the wireless circuitry. When removing the broken back glass that are directly on top of the wireless circuitry and on top of the wireless coil, you need to be very careful. You need to take your time and remove it very slowly. Only using alcohol is going to let you remove it slowly. You can see here I held the double-sided tape, the thin clear plastic, and after that I started pulling the broken back glass slowly, and I made sure that I applied pressure on the wireless circuitry in order for it to not get snatched while I pull the broken back glass. So using alcohol is very important if you want to remove the broken back glass safely without cracking the wireless circuitry. You can see here I'm trying to remove this last broken glass and it is stuck to the wireless circuitry. It is literally double-sided glued to the wireless circuitry. One advice that I can give you while you're working on the back glass removal, make sure that you protect the camera glasses before you start working on this back glass removal. You never know, you may have some alcohol that fall on the camera glasses. Start to dissolve the double-sided tape that is holding the camera glasses to the frame of the device. We are not done yet. I started to add some alcohol on the other side of the device. We need to remove that broken glass and the wireless circuitry is right below that side also. I find it very interesting how by now I'm still adding some alcohol in order to remove the broken back glass. You've seen me adding alcohol on top of the wireless coil, and here the last broken back glass is still here, and you need to add more alcohol to that side in order for it to remove it safely. If you do not really care about the wireless charging and NFC, you do not have to do all this. You can just pull everything, cut the wireless charging coil and wireless charging circuitry. Your device is going to work. On the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6, when I cut the wireless charging circuitry, it was still working fine. The only problem that I had was there is no more wireless charging and maybe no more NFC. So at this moment I have removed all the broken back glass out of this Pixel 7 Pro. The only thing that I need to do was to remove all the residual double-sided tape or glue, whatever thing that they use in order to seal the back glass of this device. After wiping everything, I just needed to test the device to make sure that it is still fine. So when we started this, the device was still on, and right now the device is turned off. Something is wrong. And also I saw a lot of bubbles that were in the middle of the screen that looks like water or alcohol. Fortunately, the device is still working and the wireless charging coil and wireless circuitry is fine. So if you want to test the wireless charging, make sure that you're careful not to cut the wireless circuitry while you're trying to remove the wireless charger that you put on the back of this device. The back of the wireless circuitry is very sticky, so while I was pulling the MagSafe charger, I did struggle a little bit to remove it safely without damaging the wireless circuitry. So as I was saying, the wireless circuitry can be lifted. You can pull it on the side and see the battery is right below it. You can pull the wireless circuitry from right to left because the left side of the device is where you have the flex cable of the wireless circuitry going back inside the device and connecting to the motherboard. After looking carefully, I can see that I still have some alcohol on the back of the battery. So the alcohol that I poured on the wireless circuitry found its way back inside the device and mainly by touching the battery. You can see I have the alcohol still on the back of the battery. This is the pull tab they provided in order for you to remove the battery when you need to replace the battery on your Pixel 7 Pro. So this is why I said the way I was using alcohol was a little bit excessive, because the alcohol was a little bit too much and found its way on the back of the battery and inside the device. Fortunately, I just tested everything. The device is responding like normal and there seems to not be a problem. Before you remove the protecting film on the back of the back glass, make sure that you apply some pressure on the blue protecting film, and after that you can remove the plastic. Also, it is very important to add some B7000 on the back of your Pixel 7 Pro before you install the new back glass. I added B7000 on all the frame area of this device. I didn't add B7000 on the wireless coil or wireless circuitry on the component that you can see at the top right and bottom left of the device. device. For the installation, you just need to align the back glass with the frame of the device. After you made sure that everything is aligned, you can start applying some pressure on the back glass for it to stick on the frame of the device. As you just saw it, the device is still on and still functional. After the installation of the back glass, it is advised that you add some clamps to apply constant pressure on the back glass for it to stick on the frame of the device. So just right now, do you see something wrong? The constant pressure clamps are not mandatory. These are my own. They didn't come with the back glass replacement repair kit. So after a while, when I came back and removed the constant pressure clamps, I saw that the device was not responding. So I immediately opened the device and inspected the component. I can see alcohol was still on the battery and also on the back of the screen. After looking carefully, I do not see any alcohol on the motherboard. I only see alcohol on the plastic pull tab that is on the battery. So alcohol entered from the back of the device, touched the battery and went on the pull tab that is attached to the battery. And after that, the accumulation of alcohol then went and touched the screen of the device. I also noticed that the pull tabs are directly in contact with the fingerprint reader. The fingerprint reader on this device is removable and there is a hole in that area that clearly exposes the digitizer and the layers of the screen due to the design that they did for the fingerprint sensor. I tested charging the device does charge and the device does even make the notification if I plug the charger. I then went and installed another screen. This one is broken. This is one of my old screen for the Pixel 7 Pro, and as you can see, that screens light up and is working normally. So I then proceeded in testing the device and making sure that everything is working perfectly and making sure that the motherboard is good. So I lost the screen while trying to replace the broken back glass on this Pixel 7 Pro. So if I have to do this again, this is the most important stuff that you need to understand and apply if you try to replace the back glass on your Pixel 7 Pro. You need to start at the bottom of the device, remove the broken back glass at the bottom using a heat gun. After that, use a little bit of alcohol and work your way through the side of the device. Remove all the broken back glass to the side of the device. You already know that the wireless coil and all that is removable and can be removed only from the left to the right of the device as you're seeing it right now. So after you have removed all the broken back glass on the side of the device, and it has to be the same side as you're seeing it in the video for this to work. Lift the wireless circuitry a little bit. There is no double-sided tape on the back of it, and after that you need to insert a piece of plastic very flat that is going to prevent the alcohol from entering the device. It can be plastic or anything that you know can prevent the alcohol from entering inside your device. While inserting that piece of plastic or laminated paper, make sure that the size is ideal and you're not going to cut the wireless circuitry flex cable that is at the far right side of the device as you're seeing it in the video. You need to make sure that there is less alcohol going inside the device as opposed to what I did here. I didn't care about the battery side and the alcohol entering inside the device. I assumed that the alcohol that I was using will evaporate by the time I finished removing all the broken back glass. I was right, but the plastic pull tab on the battery helped concentrate the alcohol on one single spot. That is what happened to this device. If I knew that, I will have done something to protect the device and making sure that there is less alcohol entering inside the device and thus protecting the inside and the screen of this Pixel 7 Pro. If you found the video edifying and interesting instructional, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the video on the screen for the Pixel 7 Pro screen replacement. I will see you next time. This is a Pixel 7 Pro. The back glass is broken. I'm going to do a back glass replacement on this device and show you how I did it this time. I did a back glass replacement on this device previously. It was a black Pixel 7 Pro and you can check that video in the description. This video is different because I learned from what I did on the previous video and I'm going to show you how to make the back glass replacement a little bit easier and faster. If you're going to use a green scalpel like the one that I'm using or another blade, make sure that you're careful because you can injure yourself. From my experience with the Pixel 7 Pro, using alcohol is going to give you a better result than using a heat gun or any source of heat. The thing is, you need to put the alcohol between the back glass and the frame of the device. And while doing that, you need to be careful not to have the alcohol slip and go between the screen of the device and the frame of the device. This is the tricky part of removing the back glass of this device. So I have finally an opening and the back glass is completely detached from the frame of the device. I can start adding alcohol on that spot in order to remove that portion of broken back glass that is attached to the frame of the device. Again, you need to put the alcohol on the frame of the device in direct contact with the back glass, and especially the double-sided tape that they use to seal the back glass. The double-sided tape that Google used on the Pixel 7 Pro is very different from the other double-sided tape that I found on some other devices. And even the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, they didn't use this type of double-sided tape on those devices. Currently, I'm adding alcohol on top of the double-sided tape, and you can see the tool is going between the double-sided tape and the broken back glass. At the bottom of the Pixel 7 Pro, there is no component that can be damaged by inserting a tool far inside. As you can see, alcohol works really well in separating the back glass from the tape. Here's the bottom of the Pixel 7 Pro with a portion of back glass removed, and you can see the double-sided tape is still on place. If I have to do this again, I will not work on this area, but I will work at the bottom of the Pixel 7 Pro and separate the back glass from the frame of the device. I'm saying this because the tape is exposed and the broken back glass has been removed, but the bottom portion of the back glass is still glued to the body of the device. So this section, this is exactly what you need to do in order to remove the back glass of a Pixel 7 Pro without too much effort. You can see after I submerge my blade inside alcohol and bring the blade on the device, the back glass is getting separated easily from the frame of the device. So the first thing that you need to do at the bottom of the device, once you have an opening, you need to submerge your blade inside 99% alcohol and then bring the blade to the back glass and the double-sided tape right below the back glass, and you will see the back glass will detach itself from the frame of the device when the double-sided tape has been soaked or in contact with alcohol. So after you have completed the bottom portion of the Pixel 7 Pro, you need to do it on the same exact position where I'm working currently on the Pixel 7 Pro. This is going to be the left side of the Pixel 7 Pro if you're looking at it from the back. So currently I have two sides of the Pixel 7 Pro completely open. I just need to work on the top side right below the cameras. At the top of the device, right below the cameras, there is a sensor. There is the wireless charging sensor and the NFC cables. So you need to have the blade in contact with the frame of the device, directly in contact with the camera bump of this Pixel 7 Pro. And while you have the blade in contact with the camera bump, you need to push the blade in with the alcohol on the blade, and you can see you're going to remove the back glass of the device. The worst thing that can happen with the Pixel 7 Pro is losing the wireless charging and the NFC cables. The wireless charging and the NFC are fused together and they share the same cable going back to the motherboard. During this repair, the most common thing that can happen is cutting the cable on the wireless charging or the NFC and losing those components. If you do not care about wireless charging or NFC, you can simply rip the back cover of the Pixel 7 Pro out and replace your back cover without worrying about the Pixel 7 Pro NFC and wireless charging. I have removed almost half of the back cover that is attached to the top of the device, and as you can see, this is going to be my new technique in order to replace the back glass of this device. I'm simply going to put the ruler halfway in the middle of the back cover and pull the back cover to the right in order to remove the whole back cover entirely. So I decided to remove the small section of broken back glass that is still attached to the top of the back glass. I'm doing the same thing. I'm soaking the tool with alcohol and putting the tool near the camera bump area, and I even added some drops of alcohol on the top of the device in order to make things faster. You should use only a few amount of alcohol if you have to drop the alcohol directly onto the back cover. If you have too much alcohol and it goes beyond the battery and reach the screen of the device, you may lose your screen, as I did in the previous back glass replacement for this Pixel 7 Pro. So just testing, you can see the whole back glass at the top of the device near the camera bump has been detached from the frame of the device. Next, I'm going to test the wireless charging to make sure that it is still working and I didn't cut the circuitry yet. So it is time to completely open the back glass of the device and remove it out of the body of the device completely. I had the ruler halfway in the middle of the back cover, covering the wireless charging coil, and I started pulling the back cover to the right of the device. This is exactly what I was explaining at the end of the other video where I did a back glass replacement. The black stuff on the inside of the back cover is the wireless charging and the NFC antenna. The whole circuitry is still glued to the back cover. So the next step will be to separate the back cover from the NFC circuitry and the wireless charging circuitry. So the way I started to do this was to drop some alcohol on the inside of the back cover. This alcohol is going to reach all the components that are attached by glue with the back cover. Again, if you're doing this, make sure that the alcohol does not touch the screen of the device or go inside between the screen and the frame of the device. So you can see the alcohol is working its way with the double-sided tape. At this moment, I'm pulling slightly on the back cover to create a small gap between the back cover and the circuitry. After a few seconds, do not hesitate to add some more alcohol on the back cover of the device in order to accelerate the separation between the double-sided tape and the back cover. You need to be in a well-ventilated area and have something to wipe the alcohol that dropped on the table. So currently, I started to use my tool. I inserted the tool between the circuitry and the back cover, and I started to pull the circuitry slightly in order to create a wider gap between the back glass and the circuitry. You need to have some patience in order to do this properly and avoid damaging your wireless charging or NFC. Always add more alcohol if you need it, just like I did. Every component that makes this circuitry is glued to one another. You will need to separate each one by one in order to avoid damaging any of them. I have one portion of the back glass completely removed and the circuitry is exposed. Next, I covered the battery with some plastic in order to avoid any alcohol from going beyond the plastic. Okay, also at this point, the wireless circuitry, the coil is completely detached out of the back cover. The only thing that is still attached or glued to the back cover is the flex cables. So currently it was getting very difficult to look inside this component, work on the component, record the video and do everything at the same time. So I had to change my setup to show you exactly what I'm doing on the inside of this wireless circuitry and NFC stuff. You can see the whole coil is already detached out of the back cover. The only thing that I am missing is this cable. This cable is still glued to the broken back cover. The removal process is the same. I'm submerging my tool inside alcohol, 99% alcohol, and I bring the tool near the cable and push the cable down. You can see it is getting separated from the broken back glass slowly, and I took my time while doing this. I didn't rush anything because I do not want to cut the cable. And you can see the cable goes all the way up to the back cover and it is very close to the camera bump. This is exactly why I was saying when you insert your blade near the camera bump to make sure that the blade is in contact with the camera bump to avoid cutting the components. So I repeated the same movement, dropping my tool inside alcohol and bringing the tool and pulling on the cable in order to detach it from the broken back cover. Currently, all the broken back cover has been removed out of the device and nothing is still attached to the wireless circuitry and NFC. At the moment, the only thing concerning is that one part of the flex cable has been cut during the process of removing the back cover. The next thing to do is to test if the wireless charging is working or if it is completely cut or damaged. Fortunately, the wireless charging is still working and only a useless part of the flex cable has been cut. The part of the flex cable that was cut does not have any wiring. This might be primarily why it is still working. After testing the wireless charging, trying to remove the wireless charger can be a little bit difficult. Careful not to damage the wireless circuitry. The whole thing is still very sticky. Here's a closer look at the circuitry. You can see where it was cut. While working with alcohol, make sure that no alcohol goes beyond the battery. It might damage your screen or any other component inside your device. Here's the Pixel 7 Pro with the wireless charging and all the circuitry exposed. I have cleaned everything and it is ready for the installation of the back cover. Here's the new back cover that I will be installing on this Pixel 7 Pro. Before installation, make sure that you apply some pressure on the back cover on the double-sided tape that is attached on the back cover for it to stick before the installation. It is highly recommended to use B7000 in order to seal your Pixel 7 Pro, Pixel 7, Pixel 6 Pro and Pixel 6. The bottom portion is clean now. I have removed the broken back glass that was still attached on that area. And here is the B7000. I'm putting B7000 on all the frame of the device. Nothing on the wireless circuitry and nothing on the black spot at the top right and bottom left. Here's the new back glass that I'm going to install on this Pixel 7 Pro. It has a double-sided tape pre-installed. For the installation, align the back cover with the body of the device. If everything is good, start applying some pressure on the back cover for it to stick on the body of the device. And after that, you can use some constant pressure clamps in order to hold the back cover on the back of the device for at least 10 to 20 minutes. For the camera glass replacement on this Pixel 7 Pro, you may think it is easy, but it is not. Click the video on the screen to check that out. Since I cannot apply any pressure on the middle, I will push the pressure clamps on the extremities of the back cover. That is going to be sufficient in order to have the back cover completely sealed.